Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. What's cooking? Tomorrow, we're going to do a pork shoulder. This is a bone-in. It's almost 4.5 pounds bone-in. It only cost me $14. This is a perfect size for a family. But if you're like me, I'm going to eat off this thing for probably 3 days. That's how I roll. But first, what we got to do is we got to make up a marinade. So we're going to let this thing sit and marinate overnight. Today I want to try an Asian inspired. I don't have an actual recipe. I do everything by taste, by smell, by feel. It works. So let's get started on the marinade. So we're just going to throw a bunch of stuff in here. I've got some ketchup. I've got garlic powder, onion powder, some apple cider vinegar, ginger, salt, pepper, brown sugar, and I'm going to throw in a little bit of this Sonny's sweet barbecue sauce just to give it a little bit of a smoky flavor, and we're going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil in there. So let's get started. Alright, I'm almost out of ketchup. I would have liked to have used a little bit more ketchup than this, but I'm just going to throw that in a saucepan. Get as much out of there as possible, because I'm a little short. Let's see. We're going to do, I forgot to mention soy sauce, but we're going to do about, I'd say a little less than a full cup. Again, we're going to adjust this but to taste the way you want it, because it is all yours. Same thing with your brown sugar. Do about a cup of brown sugar. That looks like about a cup. Turn this on. I like to heat this up and get it really rolling, so that way you get all of these flavors and spices blend together. A little bit of apple cider vinegar. Not much of this, just a little. Throw a little bit of your olive oil in there. Just a little bit. And I'll throw a little bit of my sweet barbecue sauce. Not a lot, just a little. We'll do a little bit of pepper. And then our onion powder. Couple tablespoons. Garlic, however much you want. The flavor is up to you. Alright, and then we're going to throw in some ginger. This we're going to go light on. That ought to be good. Stir this up and get a good rolling. Not quite, just bring it to a simmer. You want all of these flavors to gel and blend. And we'll add another cup of water. Cup of water. Or not quite a cup. Because once this is heated up, I am going to throw some ice in here to help cool it down. Because you don't want to put hot marinade on raw meat. And we'll just let this go until it gets nice and it's almost to just a shy of a rolling boil. Okay. We're already ready at this point. Give it a little taste. I think that's perfect right there. It's not too sweet. So I'm going to turn the heat off here. Move it to the side. And I'll just let that rest for a few minutes before I add any ice cubes, just to get the initial heat off of it. Alright, I'll just put a couple of ice cubes in here because it's actually, I've let it sit a little bit longer than I normally do, so I'll just put 3 in there. We'll give her a nice spin here. Alright, and while you're waiting for this, you can grab your pork shoulder. Alright, we got our 4.5 pound baby right here. I'll do these all different ways. Sometimes I'll buy a bone-in, sometimes I'll buy a boneless. It all depends on what I'm doing. You'll see in the future I'll be putting some in the slow cooker. I'll be doing some in a rotisserie, but basically we're going to take our pork shoulder, turn it upside down, or fat side up, and we're going to score this. Alright, so what you want to do is start on an angle and just run that knife down into this fat cap, just like that. Flip her around and go this way. Alright. Oh, what is, oh, that must be part of the bone there. Alright. So, you'll see while this is cooking, this is going to turn into the best candy. I call it candy. Some people call it, I think, what, chiclet? Chicken? I don't know. I don't know what they call it. I just know it's, oh, so good. Alright, so now that that's the marinade's cooled off enough, your pork shoulder's all sliced on the fat cap and ready to go. I don't have a container that a good enough size to contain this, so I just use my inside thingy for my crock pot, whatever you want to call this thing, and I set my pork shoulder in there. Get rid of this. Bring this into view, and then we'll just pour our marinade right on top. Oh, so good. Alrighty, and now I will cover this and put this in the refrigerator overnight. I will, from time to time, turn the pork shoulder, unless you make a big enough batch, which is a waste, to cover the entire thing. So we just cover it like this, and I stick it in the refrigerator, and every couple of hours, not every couple of hours, but whenever I remember, I'll flip her around, and I'll see you people back here tomorrow morning. Well, good morning. It's Sunday. It's early. I'm not ready for prime time. But today the magic happens. So let's get this pork shoulder out of the fridge, get it set up on the counter here, and see what we're going to do from here. Woohoo! What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this from my air fryer. I'm going to turn the basket upside down so we got a place for it to drain. And I'm going to let it sit here and do an initial drain on its own before we dry this off. Alright, before I dry this off, I'm just going to let it rest here. I'll leave it out on the counter for maybe an hour. You don't want to put ice cold meat in the oven. And then we're going to want to pat dry it, but we'll get to that in a minute. Alright, so we're going to just blot this dry on all sides. Get back over here. Alright, and so we're going to start this off for the first 25 minutes or so at 450 degrees. And that'll get that fat cap nice and started and get a nice sear on the entire roast. Alright, so now we're going to want to glaze for later on in the cooking process to really put a nice glaze on this roast. And how we're going to do that is you do not throw away your marinade, okay? This is perfectly safe. You take your marinade, you pour it into a saucepan. Now, as long as you get this to a rolling boil and you boil this for 5 minutes, you're going to kill off any bacteria, anything that's in there from the raw meat sitting in there. It's perfectly safe. It's online. You can read it. It's on the internet, so it's gotta be true. All right, so this has been going for a good 5-6 minutes. So we'll take this off the direct heat. All we're going to do is stir in a slurry. I'm using flour. You can use cornstarch. and just mix this in. Alright, so I think that that's probably about where I want that. This should thicken up a little bit more as it sits and cools. Let's see how we're looking after 10 minutes. So you can see the way that fat cap is really starting to take shape. It's getting a nice sear on it. So we'll let her go. We'll let it go another 10 minutes or so. Alrighty, my counters are clean. I've already cleaned up the dishes that I've already dirtied. So this has been in. And we're going to take this out now. Now we're going to let this sit while we turn our temp down. We're going to turn our temperature down to 225. Alright, 225. Timer. The max that mine goes right here is 4 hours. And I think that we're going to let this one go 5, maybe 6 hours. You want the internal temperature to be 165. Don't overcook your pork, fellas and ladies. Okay, we tend to overcook pork because we're afraid of it. It's okay if pork's a little pink inside, as long as that internal temp is 165. So if I was doing a regular pork roast, that would be making my delicious roast pork gravy. But we're not doing that today. We're going to let this rest a little bit while the oven is equalizing out, because I don't like to put it in there while it was still scorching hot. And then later in the process we'll start putting our glaze, maybe with a couple of hours left to go. Let that glaze bake into the outer. The hardest thing is not picking at these right now. That is the hardest thing for me. They already taste good. Here's another tip. For you people that are using a grown-up oven, you probably don't have to, especially if you're roasting this in a deeper pan. But in my particular case, I found working with the air fryer, if I left that amazing juice in this pan, it would eventually burn. So regardless of how I'm doing this, for this particular one, I just dumped the tray out into the sink. If I was making roast pork gravy, I still would have taken it out, but I would have put it in the saucepan. And as it cooks, whatever accumulates, I will take out. But I will add some water to the pan. On mine, being that it's such a shallow pan, I don't want it to burn. So I will constantly, every hour or so, add a little bit of water to the pan. And it's still giving off amazing juices. You can already see it. But that makes some of the best gravy. Like I said, if this was going to be just a roast pork with pork gravy. But I'm still going to put the water in there because I don't want it to burn. And I like the moisture that it puts off. Okay, it's been 2 hours. I can't wait. I cannot wait. And I'm trying not to pick at this, but oh my gosh. I'm going to give it its first. I'm going to give it its first coat of glaze. I wish I had one of those brushes, but I don't. So I'm just going to spoon this on. Let it drizzle all down the sides. And just try to coat it the best I could. You get the gist. I'll put a little bit more water in the pan because actually I forgot. And it is starting to burn in some areas. But you see, 225 degrees, not even a sizzle on that pan. So we'll put this back in. I'm going to reset the timer for 4 hours, so that'll give me a total of 6. Okay, this has been in for just about 5 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out. Set it on this towel. And then we're just going to let this rest probably 10 minutes before we take it out. I was out of rice, so I had a box of Rice-A-Roni. And so what I did is, because I want the glaze to be the flavor of the rice, I only used like not even a quarter of the flavor packet. And I put in some mixed vegetables, peas and carrots in there as well. So once this is all ready to go, we'll cut into this and see what it looks like. Okay, let's see how we did. Let's see. Beautiful. Juicy. Let's plate this up. Okay, there you have it. I am going to go and enjoy myself until my stomach hurts. So thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.